good afternoon, folks. How are you doing? Have you ever heard me say that before? Probably not. Yeah, a very warm welcome back to What's for Tea and this amazing wee Scottish macaroon bar recipe. Now, these have obviously not to be confused with French or Italian macaron, which is something completely different. This is such a traditional recipe, you know. This was my granny's favourite sweet. Like I said, very, very simple. 4 ingredients which you might have lying around anyway, so I urge you to give it a go. You know, if you do have a sweet tooth, because it's obviously very, very sweet with all the powdered sugar and the chocolate, but it's wonderful if you do like a sweet treat. So yeah, if you're new, welcome to you as well. Like I said, my name's Cheryl, this is What's for Tea, and this is just a wee traditional recipe for you today because I've done a lot of savoury things recently, so I thought I'd switch it up a wee bit. And loads of you were asking to see the recipe because I did start it last week with, you know, with this, that and the other going on. You know, I just didn't have time to film the ending, so I thought it was just fair that I did pop it up for you to see because I know that you can't get this everywhere. I mean, here you can pick it up really cheaply. Every shop, every store here, you'll be able to pick this up for about £1, so it's very inexpensive to buy. But if you're abroad and you're getting a wee bit homesick or you're Scottish, you know, you might actually appreciate this recipe. And even if you're not Scottish, you know, whatever you are, give it a wee go. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And you know, it does contain potato, which again you may find surprising because it is a very, very sweet treat. So I'm going to stop rambling now and I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. And as usual, all of the ingredients will be listed below in grams and ounces for you. So the first thing I've got there is some desiccated coconut. Now, the amount you're going to need will depend on how many you're making. I've actually got double the amount there that I'm going to need, but you will need 114 grams or around 4 ounces. I've also got some icing sugar, or it's also known as confectioner's sugar. In this country, it's called icing sugar. And I've got 450 grams, which is about 16 ounces. And I've also got some chocolate. I mean, you could use dark milk, whatever you like. Doesn't have to be fancy. This is, after all, you know, it's just a wee sweet. It's nothing fancy. So I've got 350 grams or around 12 ounces. Now, you're also going to need some mashed potato. So you're going to be looking at about 130 grams of raw potato, and the end result you're looking for is about 114 grams, which is about 4 ounces. So as long as you've got around 4 ounces of mashed potato at the end of the cooking process, you'll be fine. So let's move on and we'll see what's next. So this is icing sugar, for those of you who have asked, you know, what is icing sugar? And this is my desiccated coconut, and I'm choosing to use some Galaxy chocolate, and I'm also going to use some dark chocolate chips as well, but could use Bourneville, use whatever you like. So the first thing you want to do is get your mashed potato done. So you just want to simmer these in some water until they're nice and tender. Now if you cube them quite small, they won't take long. And once they're ready, you just want to drain them and then give them a good mash to get all of your lumps out. Now you want to let this cool, and ideally you could use a stand mix or a hand whisk, but if you prefer you can do it by hand, but it does get quite difficult at the end. So pop your stand mix on with your mashed potato and gradually add in your icing sugar, wee bit by wee bit, until it goes nice and thick, just like this. Now I'm choosing to use a mini loaf tin just because I've got one, but you can easily do this in a normal baking tray. In fact, that's what most people do. But if you're using a tin like this, you just want to make sure your compartments are lined so that it pops out easy at the end. So once you're happy, you pop in your fondant mixture and just give it a wee press down with your finger to make it nice and smooth. Pop it into the freezer until it's set. Whilst you're waiting, you can go on and do your coconut. So you just want to toast half of your coconut. Pop it into the oven on a medium heat just for a few minutes. Keep an eye on it though, because it will burn very quickly. And you'll have something that looks like this at the end. Just give it a wee mix in together. And then you want to get the other half of your coconut. I prefer to do this in a bowl. It just makes it easier and less messy to mix through, because I have in the past done it on the train. It's went everywhere. So once your fondant is completely set, take it out of the freezer. Now, if you don't have one of these tins and you're just using, a bog standard baking tin, now would be the time to cut it up into the squares that you want. Or if you're using a tin like me, just make sure they're nice and loose, because you want to work with this mixture quite quickly, because if it's up to room temperature, it could disintegrate. So spread half of your coconut in a tray, and now you're going to melt your chocolate. So I've just added some dark chocolate to some milk chocolate, a teaspoon of oil, and this will make it nice and liquidy and easy to dip. So pop it into the microwave and just melt it slowly. You just want to grab one of your squares straight from the freezer and straight into your hot chocolate, and as quickly as you can over to your coconut, and just make sure it's well covered. I just like to go over the top of mine with plenty of coconut and just pat it around all the sides and the top, and that's it. All you have to do is transfer that to a clean baking sheet. So just repeat that for your other squares or rectangles or whatever shapes you've decided to make them. Just make sure you get plenty of coconut packed around the sides and give it a good squeeze on. Really press that in there. And if you get too much on there, the excess will easily shake away. So don't worry about having too much, because it just won't stick. You'll never have too much on these. Just keep, flip them over. Keep flipping them over as many times as you need. But that chocolate will set quite quickly because your squares have been in the freezer and your chocolate is warm. Like I said, just pop those back on to your baking tray and refrigerate until your chocolate has set. So these were mine just after the chocolate set. Now, over the next couple of days, these will get considerably harder and drier inside. These have just been made, so they're still quite sticky inside. But the longer you leave them and the longer you lay, if you leave them in the fridge, or if you decide to keep them in a biscuit tin in the cupboard or in the drawer, they will dry out and become firmer as the days go on, if they last that long, of course. So that was my wee easy recipe for the Scottish macaroons. Like I said, dead easy to make and a very quick recipe as well. It just looks a wee bit longer because obviously I'm having to put it into a video and explain everything, but if you're doing it yourself, you can do this in no time at all. But it's not something we tend to do an awful lot because, like I said, they're so cheap and so easy and so available where we are. But I know that I was maybe living abroad in a different country and was feeling a wee bit nostalgic or homesick, I might just whip up a batch, because they're so easy to do. So, well, thank you very much, guys, for sticking with me so far. And for those of you who have asked to see the recipe, well, there you go. Better late than never, I say. So like I said, thank you all for coming over and checking out this wee video. And I shall be back on Sunday with meals of the week. And then back again for a shopping haul. So whenever you decide to join me again, remember to take care of yourselves, wherever you are. And from our wee humble kitchen in Scotland to yours, lots of love. Take care and bye for now. Bye now.